Is that where we still are with this whole thing? You're just not
That is,
coming now? 'Cause
that is where we still are.
yes, where we are. All right. Well, we're still going. So, anyways, I don't know if John and Kim Kite are on. I know Kim is on, but I do not see John's name on here. So, Kim Kite, I know you're on. Can you hear me? Nothing like technical difficulties. But we'll talk until then, Andrew. You know what? Here's one of the things that we should probably talk about until they get on. We were both in Dallas last week, and there's been a lot of excitement in the air. There's been a lot of talk about the new comp levels. And from June 1st to August 31st, Barry Clarkson giving us every agent at Equus an opportunity to absolutely skip over comp levels if you can produce whatever the comp level you're trying to reach for in 2 months back to back. And I think that that is an absolute phenomenal way for someone to go out and help families. They can go out and earn a very good income from themselves, and they can go out and earn themselves a raise. And so I know you and I talked there, joking, all joking aside, you're not coming fishing because you're going to be focusing in on doing that. And so tell everybody kind of what that comp level meant to you, what your plan is to reach to achieve whatever the goal is you're trying to achieve coming up.
I think the biggest thing about the announcement is, as exciting as it is for people to be able to go from wherever they're at and to be able to achieve, a 120 or beyond, from whatever they're trying to get. The way I look at it is just from a recruiting standpoint, from, being able to find agents that, from a business standpoint for me, if I need to be able to bring them on for whatever reason at a higher contract because they're an experienced agent or things, it gives me more flexibility in my business to be able to do things like that. And yeah, obviously, the ability to go out and make a little bit of extra on the business that I write personally. But I think that's, since the biggest focus really now is, well, and has been for a while, is the building an agency, going after that equity bonus, going after that integrity deal. I think that um that helps position us into a better spot for something like that. And then really the cool thing is there's nobody come September that can say, well, I should be here, or why am I not here? Like you're gonna get what you can earn. And after this 90 days, you can't sit back and say, well, this person has that and I don't have that, or why can't go out there and get it. You, as Kim said from the stage, you got a blank check to go write your contract level. And shame on you for not taking advantage of that. In all honesty, Jamie, um I think most agents won't really take advantage of it. you know I think there'll be quite a few that will, but I think there'll be a lot of excitement. What I hope doesn't happen, but I think might, is I think there'll be a lot of excitement for the first couple weeks of June, and then people really start to realize what it takes to go after that 100, 105, 110, 120 contract level. And all of a sudden they'll get back in their old routines, and they won't stay consistent. And that's always been the name of this game, is consistency, right? Like how long can you be consistent for? And so we'll find out by, it's just kind of like at the beginning of the year, in January, February, you see all these names that usually aren't at the top of the leaderboards, or people cranking out 20 or 30 grand or 40 grand or 50 grand, and that's awesome and great. But then a lot of them kind of just taper off throughout the year. And that person that flies under the radar doing 5 grand a week, they end up doing more business than them at the end of the year because they've stayed consistent all year long. And so, what I hope is whoever gets excited about this stays consistent with their schedule, for the next 90 days. But really what I hope is that 90 days sets a routine then. And so really, it's not go out there, go hard for 90 days and then just fall off the face of the earth. It's design your new schedule for the next 90 days, but then run with it for the rest of the year. is kind of the way that I look at it. So hopefully that 90-day run that these, all these agents that actually make changes in their schedules, hopefully that just continues on for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about? All right, so all right. There's a couple things that I think might have been missed in Dallas, and here's one that is extremely big. Is when it comes to indexed universal life, those products are no longer capped for production. So I'm sitting down thinking, all right, I got me not a contest, but I've got me an opportunity from June 1st to August 31st. So it's now May 22nd. How do I set myself up for June 1st, Andrew? Because we do simplified issues. So if I write a bunch of simplified issues now, issue for June 1st, right? But now if we do universal life and index universal life, sometimes those products take 2 and 3 and 4 weeks to issue. So I'm thinking about how can I get myself ahead of the game for next month. So right now, I'd be figuring out how can I write more index universal life and how can I write more GPM universal life with a decreasing term mortgage rider. And those products are the ones that are going to take a little longer to issue. And I'm going to load my box up with those. So when June 1st kicks in, I'm going to run doing all of that, and I'm going to keep doing my simplified issue business. And my word, we can start next month off by submitting it this month, and it'll get issued next month. We can start next month off ahead of the game, and it's going to be a whole lot easier to get to that 12,000, that 15,000, that 20,000, that 30 or $40,000 level simply by planning a little bit ahead. And so, if I'm a brand new agent, or if I'm an agent who wants to go from 100 to 110 or 100 to 120 or whatever the case is, I'm going to use the system, and I'm going to use the products, Andrew, to my advantage going forward. Now, I'm not going to stop doing the simplified issue stuff in the meantime, but I'm going to add that other stuff in. And if I can start 2 weeks ahead in advance on, like, I'll start now writing ULs, and I just consistently write them. They might be 2-week lag time, Andrew. I'm getting paid on them, maybe 3 weeks. But I got all that. I'm going to need income three weeks down the road, just like I need income today. So I might as well just get it going. And I might as well use the rules and the system to my advantage. And so that's what I've been starting to talk to my agents about. We're doing our Lexington Cardinal training camp on Wednesday and Thursday next week. John Kite's going to be our guest speaker. We're going to have an elite producer panel there. We're going to be doing some case studies. And what I'm talking to you about right now is exactly what I'm going to be talking to them about. But anyways, we got an opportunity, man. I tell you what, if people don't get it by now, I don't know how else to get it to them. I just really don't. And when it comes to recruiting, man, it's pretty simple, Andrew. I'll bring everybody in at 100. And I'm telling them all, I'll bring you in at 100. I'll give you, in the next 90 days, I'll give you the opportunity to jump up to 120, no questions asked, when you produce. And so we've got one phenomenal opportunity. It's one that has never been that in my 25 years, I've never heard of anything like this in the industry. The industry is evolving, and those people who are in companies where their managers are living fat off the hog, off of their agents' overrides, those days are going to come to an end, and then people are going to be left behind, like the horse and buggy companies got left behind when cars came out, or like the rotary phones got left behind when cell phones came out. So anyway, I don't know if we've got them on yet. It says John Kite joined, John Kite left, John Kite joined. So we're going on and on. I don't know who all's here. So until we get some sort of word that they're on, we'll just keep talking, man. Let me ask you this question. I know you've already told me what you're going for. You're going for the 120. You're going to produce 40,000 a week. What is your strategy to get from where you are now, specifically to get to that 40,000 next month?
I'm going back to the schedule. Equus put on a contest a couple years ago for that Rolex, and I remember when I left that conference in the summer, the schedule that I ran after that, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to produce the results that I want to get me the contract level I want, because there was a couple months like I was floating like 35 to almost 50,000 those months. And so for me, that's out in the field 4 days a week, run in, 5 to 7 appointments a day, so I'll be shooting for about, 20 to 28 appointments a week. And I think, well, I shouldn't say I think, I know if I do that consistently, for anyone that wants to go out there and get there, 120, that's what it's going to take. I mean, it's not an easy feat. Um, you got to stay extremely committed to your schedule week after week after week. And then leads, right? You got to you got to make sure you got enough leads to meet enough people. And so it's, for anyone that wants to do that, I always like the saying, like, if somebody were to ask you, like, hey, what are you not willing to do? Then if you have an answer for that question, um there might be a problem then being able to try to get those results. Because, like, let's just, realize what that means for a moment. If you did that consistently all year long, you're doing almost a $500,000 a year in business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that that shouldn't be something so la-di-da, super easy to accomplish. And it's crazy, some agents that think it should be easier, or I mean, what we have to do is easy, but it's just the mental struggles and keeping that consistency. So for me, it's, I usually will make my dials on Saturdays. It's worked out well for the live dial sessions because that's usually when I'd make my dials anyways. And so the way I do it is I make dials on Saturday. I book appointments for the very next day and the following day for Sunday, Monday, and I usually never have a problem getting at least 5 appointments for those days. And, I'll be shooting for at least 7. And then I'll make dials again on Tuesdays, and I'll be booking again for the very next day and the following day. So on Tuesdays I book for Wednesday, Thursday, and that's what my summer is going to pretty much look like. You know, it kind of was like that this week, not quite, but definitely, starting tomorrow, it's not waiting till June to start adopting that schedule. You need to get that, activity like now. You need to figure out what your leads are going to look like today so you can back up that schedule starting next week, and don't wait. There's Miss Kim. How you doing, Kim?
All right, there we go. Gotta love technology, right?
I know. Well, we'll tell you this. I think we have figured we cannot use our cell phones with stage 10 and check messages.
Okay.
No, you cannot. I found that out.
Am I getting double feedback here, or are we good?
I hear you good.
Sound good to me.
I hear John. Is he sitting next to you? I just don't see him.
I don't even know where John is.
Okay. Well, I heard you, John.
It's got my picture up there, but it says standby. So I think they got me on standby.
Well, John, we're gonna have to put in for a raise for Tom Franklin so that he can have better equipment. So, there you go. There you go. Oh, because when your budget is zero, we don't have a whole lot to work with, right?
Tom Franklin.
Where do we put in that request?
Cornerstone Group has.
Yeah. So how y'all doing today?
Good. Hope y'all are.
Awesome.
Man, we're blessed. We're blessed. So Andrew, we were just talking about preparing for the the upcoming June 1st through August 31st, and some strategies on how to get everybody to get a raise. And so one of the ideas that that came across my mind, John, was now that the Index Universal Life is uncapped, and I know that when I write Universal Life, sometimes it takes 1 to 2, sometimes 3 weeks to issue, that I want to be writing some of that now so I can get it submitted so that business issues next month. So next month when I'm doing all of my simplified issue non-medical stuff, I've also got this tidal wave of business from this month crashing into next month, propelling me forward, and also give me the revenue that I would need to get the extra leads that I'm going to need in order to achieve the goal that I'm trying to achieve. So I don't know what your thoughts are on any of that. I don't know what you want to talk about today, but why don't we just start there and then you just take it wherever you want to, brother?
Well, I think, JT, your guidance there is perfect for people because, number one, momentum is is just one of those things that you can't mess around with. It's like, man, it's so hard to get, and sometimes can be so hard to come by. But man, it does leave pretty quick. And so, from a personal momentum and personal growth standpoint, we want to be in the seed sowing business. We want to be constantly sowing seeds. We don't want to be digging up our seeds. We want to be sowing seeds, expecting a harvest. And even with that, it is an ebb and flow business, ebb and flow life, but we seek to be in that flow more than the ebbs. But without the ebbs, there are no flows, and vice versa. So I think your advice is so spot on, Jay. And if I had in my mind's eye to put a couple of months back to back of some really high production months that maybe even higher than what I've ever done, I would be starting right now making more dials, like with this dial session we're having tomorrow, which is we've got a big team dial session. We've got the most incredible elite producers that are making live dials in front of you, so people will be able to hear their phone script. They'll be able to hear how they handle objections, and most importantly, you'll be able to hear that these elite producers, they run across the same idiots that y'all run across. And so it's such a belief building thing to hear these people doing their thing and making their dials, and basically learning best practices from watching people do it. And so I would start this weekend. I would be texting. I would be dialing. I would be, yes, maybe I'll have a big week next week going into Memorial Day. But the biggest thing is that I'm starting that personal momentum. I'm starting ramping that up, and you can never do that too soon. And for those of you guys that started in April, you started in March, as the beginning of spring training and the beginning of our spring months, we talked about creating momentum. And so for those of you guys that have done that, just simply keep the hammer down and keep that momentum so that you can go into the summer months having already worked hard creating that momentum, and then you'll actually have the momentum working for you. So spot on with your advice there, JT.
Yeah, let's switch gears for a minute, because one of the things that was on my heart about when we decided to have y'all on today to do this, and it's directed to both you and Kim, but it was kind of more to Kim. Was when we were in Dallas, she was up there speaking. Kim, talk a little bit about the delayed gratification that you were talking about, because the industry is evolving, and there's going to be a lot of people in this industry going to get left behind because they're greedy, and they're not looking at they're looking at their agents as a way to put money in their pockets,
Right.
instead of looking at a big picture, a long-term plan, and understand. And I love the word you use, delayed gratification, because I never even thought of looking at it that way. So talk about that for a minute, because I think that was important that you talked about that in Dallas.
Well, I think that, and I'll kind of preface it back to what I said on stage the other day too, was someone had asked Brian Adams at the integrity offices the other day what he thought it took to get an integrity deal. And he kind of turned it back on some of us for us to answer. And so my answer was delayed gratification and focus. And I think that anytime you have a goal, we have a huge carrot in front of us, if you want to kind of say it like that. It's not dangling in front of us like it's a trick or something like that. But we have a huge opportunity to change lives, change your life, change our lives, others' lives. And if you talk to anyone who's ever been successful as an athlete or business or ministry, I don't know, whatever they're successful at, I can promise you they put some things on the back burner, because you can't have everything at once. We couldn't. I mean, John couldn't play golf all the time and build his business like he needed to. We couldn't go on vacations all the time and do the things we needed to do to further our family financially. It couldn't happen. I'd like to meet someone who says they could do it all. I just never have. And so the good thing is, I don't think that anyone's going to have to practice it for so long and put so much on the back burner for 20 years. Like, I feel like John and I did for I feel like it took us 20 years. But you're in such a better system than what we had when we first got started way back when. It's not even comparable, to be honest with you. So, some things that I would tell people is like, don't watch your time off, watch your vacations. Don't beat yourself up if you have to miss something. And when I say all of that, I'm also not saying, don't be a martyr and say, well, I have to miss everything, or I'm not going to be successful, or I have to miss all my kids' games, or I have to miss my sister's wedding, or I have to never go on a vacation until I get this done. That's not what we're talking about. Don't be a martyr in all of this. This is not network marketing, and no one's going to beat you up for what you do.
We definitely made some mistakes in that delayed gratification. So, and Kim, thank you for saying that. And I want you to cover some of those because I kind of went overboard with it. And so maybe you can teach against what I did.
Well, I think you would probably be the one that would need to talk about that because I'm not here to criticize you, but we probably were a little bit tough on that at times. We might have missed some things that we shouldn't have missed, but we're still okay. But what I'm saying is, don't be a martyr about it. Don't punish your family. Don't think because you're missing everything you're going to get a badge of honor. I promise you won't get it from John and Kim. And counsel. Counsel with your manager. Counsel with your growing manager on your time schedule and what's going on in your business. And I mean, it's summer. Everybody wants to take a vacation. It is so important to spend time with your family and your children. And I kind of sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here because I'm saying practice delayed gratification, but also spend time with them. So if this is confusing for anyone, I'll be glad to get on the phone with you and just kind of go more in depth into how John and I did things wrong and how we feel like we might have done some things right. So if that's confusing, text me. I'll give you a call.
No, it's not confusing at all. I mean, no matter how many hours a day somebody works, everybody's got to take a little, even the hardest working people have to take some sort of break in order to decompress. I mean, even Navy SEALs sleep 20 minutes at a time. And so, I mean, so we gotta call, we can't be unrealistic, but at the same time, we also can't fall on our swords as a martyr thinking like, oh my word, my kids are going to be all these bad people because I didn't go to one ballet dance or I missed one baseball game or I missed one fishing trip with Jamie Trent down at Edisto because I chose to go for $40,000 a month instead of hanging out with him for one weekend. We can't just, we can't martyr ourselves. But Andrew, what do you got to ask them right now? Because you heard what I said. Yeah. Andrew I scheduled a whole fishing trip around Andrew, and then he lets me know he's not going now. So
yeah,
gotta love that. So
John Kite, what did I say when Andrew told us he wasn't going fishing? What did I tell you?
Well, I'll say this about delayed gratification, and for me, like I remember my friends who religiously went to the NC State football games and did the tailgating, and once I got a dream, and once I had a pathway to accomplish my dream, I was there. So no, I was not going to take time and go on golf trips. I don't, my job wasn't building relationships at that time, not cross line. And I'm not sticking up for Andrew nor Jamie, but you couldn't have gotten me to go take a weekend and go play golf with my golf buddies when I needed to be building my business for my family. Because if something were to happen to me, those people I went to play golf with, they weren't going to pay my bills and take care of my wife. And so once I was focused on making a run, I just made sure I was in that run. And my downtime was grabbing a book and reading a book. My downtime was visualizing. My downtime was resting, and it was certainly with my family, but it was also taking advantage of that downtime and making sure that I was feeding me. See, feeding me is yes, it has to do with a little bit of rest, but it's making sure that I'm getting my read time. It's making sure that I'm getting my affirmations in. It's making sure that I'm waking up early enough so that I can get my time drawing my group out and visualizing and staying focused and staying mentally in the game. And the few times that I took and went and played golf, that was a distraction that I couldn't allow, because that got my mind thinking on something totally different than my business. And that is the danger zone for most people.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And by the way, Andrew, I'm just giving you a hard time, buddy. Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on, now I'm gonna get sorry. I just got distracted for a second. But the whole thing, we have this opportunity, like I said just a few minutes ago, we have this opportunity. And depending on how fast you want to try to take advantage of this opportunity, two opportunities. One, write your own contract, fill out that blank check for what you want it to be, right? And then an integrity deal. Obviously, it's going to take the write your own contract is a shorter window of time. And so it's in thinking about all that and delayed gratification in your family and how to kind of balance it all. One, I will have to say, I don't think you're ever going to be in balance. I don't think there's such a thing when you have a family and you're trying to provide for them and you're trying to grow a business and be successful. I don't think there is a perfect balance to that. I think you can strive to do the best you can in that area, but I think if you're in balance, if you ever feel like you're in balance in all areas of your life, you're probably lukewarm in all of the areas of your life, because there's always going to be an area that requires more attention. Just like if you have more than one kid, you probably have different seasons where one kid might need a little bit more of you at certain times, if that makes sense. So are those areas of your life where something may need more attention than others. Just as far as, and I'm going to say this from the mom perspective of your kids and trying to figure out how to make it all work and be cohesive, talk to your kids. Make them understand that, hey, I need your support. This is what we're going for. We need your support. Mom might miss a few things. Dad might miss a few things. Don't let them, again, feel like it's a punishment for them. But I really feel like if you bring them in and talk to them, explain to them what's going on and the opportunity that you have at whatever level you can and how old your kids are, then they are going to be excited with you and they're going to feel a part of it. And honestly, I think you probably should do a podcast with John and Emily Claire, John Jr. and Emily Claire, because I really do feel like they will tell you they are fine. And I honestly think they would tell you that they're proud of us and that they're proud to be a part of what we've put together, and that they have been instrumental in that just through their support and understanding the things that we've needed to do. And it was never that this was more important than them. They've always had their needs met. They've always known that we're going to, me especially, that was my role, jump up and, if they need me, I'm going to be there, right? But anyway, I think if you involve them in that way, that really helps out through everything. I hope that all makes sense.
Makes perfectly
good. Maybe we can title that our kids very rarely celebrated. We very rarely celebrated birthdays on the actual day, and they're okay. We didn't have the money to join the pool, so we actually had those plastic pools you get from Walmart. And the most fun I've ever had in a pool was John's little little plastic pool, and he had this little sliding board that we put in the pool, and it would, that was the most fun we had all summer. But that was it was little things like that, and see, we forget those things, Kim. We forget not having the money or being able to choose. See, I think the danger with our business, is that if your dream is to build distribution, you can go out and make enough money on your own pen to justify really getting all these distractions in your life. Like, you can justify it because you can go out on your own pen and you can make 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, and even more. You can go out and make 250, 300,000 on your own pen, and that's great money. But if your dream is building distribution, you can't get ahead in thinking that temporary income is success, because it's not success. That's not what you're going for. And you simply have to continue to reinvest. And man, the last thing in the world you ever want to do is take a little bit of the wrong success, which is that stupid green dollar bill money, and head faking you and thinking that you've earned this and earned that, and all of a sudden you allow it to be the distraction that keeps you from going out there and really affecting people's lives. I know that we get to affect people's lives by writing insurance, but that pales in comparison to sharing the opportunity with somebody, with another entrepreneur, and hiring that dream-driven couple and watching them come into this business and absolutely change their life. And that's the danger zone of the insurance business.
Man, I completely agree. Andrew, just for the record, I'm just giving you a hard time. If I didn't already have two sets of people who paid money for plane tickets and have booked their rooms and already paid for it to come down, I wouldn't be going in June. And I've already let my family know that in August, I might be down there a little bit during the 1 week we always go, but I'm not doing my 3-week thing this year, because my goal and my focus is on this and growing this and making this thing work.
Yeah.
What is on your heart, Andrew? Because you hadn't really said a whole lot so far. You're muted, by the way.
I'm muted.
No, you're not. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I hope is, and if Tom, if you can bring Kim and John on the screen at the same time, just for people to really understand the opportunity that's here in front of them. I was talking with some agents the other day, and it's like, we all have heard that saying, like, man, could you imagine if you would have got in at the beginning of Google or Yahoo or Microsoft or Facebook or Twitter? I mean, all these big billion-dollar companies. What if you would have got in at the beginning? What if somebody would have said, hey, you could invest? I mean, like the story of Facebook, right? There was, I'm probably butchered a little bit, but there was a group of 15 or 20 people that were invited, and only 6 of them showed up to that meeting. Could you imagine when it was first starting? Could you imagine now today looking back and be like, man, I was one of those people who was supposed to be there, and I'm not. And the I was talking with somebody, and they're like, because sometimes the goal is so big, it's that's too far away for me. It's so big of a goal, I can't even fathom the thought of someone like me getting that. It sure would be cool one day, but and I think the unique opportunity with this is that when Facebook first started, when Microsoft, when Google, when Yahoo, when all these companies first started, it was just a thought. Had no idea where it was going and what it was going to amount to. It's really easy today to look and be like, oh my God, look how big Microsoft is. But we have that opportunity to see, Brian Adams said, someone had said to them, Integrity almost has that feel of a startup company still. They're a freaking $1 billion company, and someone says that, right? Who says that? That's crazy, right? But it's just because the opportunity that is still out there for people, it's like a startup company, because that's, when Microsoft was a startup company, it wouldn't have taken much to invest in and then look at the opportunity you have now, but the thing is, what people are going to say in 5 or 10 or 15 years or whenever that day comes, the saying here is going to be, could you imagine if you were one of those managers that got in and became a managing partner before they went public? Could you imagine if you got to do that? I mean, and so we're living in that world right now where in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, you become a managing partner with integrity. It's still going to be an amazing lifetime opportunity, but it's not going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity like missing out on that meeting with Facebook or not investing in Microsoft when you first heard about it, when they first came around. And so now we have you guys. And the cool thing is, it's like you said, Kim, it's not going to take 20 or 30 years. It can, if you're lukewarm about this opportunity. But when you guys went hard in all your business opportunities in the past, it was always in 90 days and 90 days and a year and 2 years and 90 days and 3 years. And it's like, is it ever going to come? Like, how many more 90 days do we have to do to get that goal we're going after? And now it's like, now we're in the right vehicle. Now it's like, I truly believe there's people that they're not even hired yet. They're not even ICA'd yet. And they've not even had a moment. They don't even have their insurance license yet. And they're going to get an integrity deal before they go public. And so shame on all of us that already have the license, already are in Equus, already have that platform in the system. Like, we're like 20 steps ahead of them. Or even somebody that just came on board, you're still a few steps ahead of them, and they're going to get it before you. And it's just because we all have that same opportunity. And I think what helps is seeing those small stepping goals. Like you said, that first opportunity is going after that 90-day contest Equus is doing. I mean, but we have a bunch of little baby stair steps to eventually getting that integrity deal. Go get your 90, your 100, your 110, your 120 contract. Go get yourself a team and become a regional manager. Go get yourself the equity bonus. That's a big thing about Equus. We still have the equity bonus and a top 140 contract. It's so cool seeing what Barry showed on stage to put it in perspective. Like, there is nobody out there that has a bigger contract level than us when you really take into account the equity bonus. Because if you're at a 140 and if you're getting the third tier equity bonus, what was it, like an extra 11 or 12 points that counts? So it's almost like, you're getting like a 152 or whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure there's nobody out there offering a 152 to their people. Like, it's just the opportunity crazy. Is just crazy. But I mean, like, so for you guys, to maybe, in saying lastly, for the person that sees to get, like, the one that can't envision that equity bonus, the integrity deal really being something they should have a goal that they can go after in the next 24 months. But then getting them to understand it is a realization, what it's meant for you guys, and how using this vehicle is so much different than all the other vehicles you've used in the past, that, there is a light at the end of this tunnel, where it seemed like that tunnel just kept getting longer and longer and longer at the other places, and you never got there. But what would you say to somebody that, I mean, really any of us? I mean, there's only 3 people in Equus that have an integrity deal right now, and I'm sure there's a few others that are on the cusp of getting there. But to everybody else, and especially those agents that are sitting at that 80, 90, 100 point contract, they don't even have a team yet. They don't even have one person on their team yet. But to get them to realize, like, this is a real thing for them, and if they want to go after it, you really can't play the game of, maybe in a couple years I'll start doing it. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be the same opportunity. You know, what would you say to those people to try to get them to really understand, you know, what's sitting here in front of them?
Well, you know, I would say that I would try to take it in the size bites that you can digest. You know, there are babies in this business that maybe will listen to this podcast, and you know, they're like, what in the world are they talking about? You know, and so yeah, I just always think that no matter whether you're a babe in the business or whether you're a veteran in the business, I think that your path forward is always the basics of this business. It's personal growth and it's personal momentum, and it's really understanding that when we talk about that, all good things in this business come from those things. It's personal momentum, and personal momentum is created through personal growth and applying success principles in your life. It's really the thing that we try to go above and beyond to teach on a weekly basis, is that, you know, we want people to learn how to win. And you know, we just got done, I think a few weeks ago there was the NFL draft, and I don't even know if it's still going on, whatever, but you know, you got the NFL draft, and so you got football players that are getting multi-million-dollar contracts, and it's like, man, that guy became a multi-millionaire overnight. Well, it wasn't overnight. I mean, it was, you know, let's go back to their Pee Wee League football in their community, and let's look at the success principles that they learned and that they applied in their life. And yeah, they may have applied a smidgen of talent, you know, but you can't sit there and tell me that every single person that signed an NFL contract did so because of their talent. Matter of fact, there's probably a ton of people out there with a ton of talent that didn't sign an NFL contract because they never applied success principles. So, Andrew, the thing that I would say is that if you're a babe in the business, just focus on the basics, focus on your personal growth, your personal momentum, and maybe it's becoming an elite producer. Maybe it's getting the equity bonus. Maybe it's building a team, your first team of 3 to 5, right? You know, focus on building a team of 3 to 5. When you build a team of 3 to 5 consistent producers, then you're able to build a team of 7 to 10 consistent producers. Then once you've got a team of 7 to 10 consistent producers, then you can build a team of 30 to 40 consistent. So it's stepping stones like that. So just don't be guilty of looking too far ahead and trying to accomplish too much. It's like the old adage: how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You know, if we start focusing on the whole elephant, well, then we get paralyzed by our analysis of, I can't eat this whole elephant. Well, if you look at the whole elephant, you're right, you can eat it. So if you look at the integrity deal or you look at the equity bonus and you're just getting started, yeah, probably not going to be able to accomplish that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But in the next 2 to 3 years, absolutely you can accomplish that. So I think Kim had to jump off, maybe. Kim, did you have to jump off?
Yeah, she jumped off.
Okay. I know she had a lunch appointment. So, but that's what I would say, Andrew, is just decide on where you are in the business. You know, if I were having a personal conversation with you, we can decide pretty quick, you know, where you are in the business and what you would need to focus on. And if you focus on those bite sizes, you are going to propel yourself forward.
You know, it's just like you just got done saying the analogy, you know, the NFL draft, you know, there was a conversation with these guys, you know, probably 10, probably about somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago. There was a conversation that was had about where they want to go as a football player. And, you know, the commitment that they made with their family and with their coach and just with I mean, if you look back at the people that go to the NFL, like when they were kids and when they were in school, and the things that they did, their life revolved around their football. And then they made it. And then, like you said, some people look at that and like, oh my God, they just became millionaires overnight. Like, no, there was 10 or 15 years of sacrifices that they made to get that to accomplish. And that's kind of what it's like here. I mean, it won't take 10 or 15 years, but it's, the ones that want to go after that opportunity, look at what those small baby steps are, but just understand that you got to make changes and you got to go after it. And there's no, the person that gets it and the one that doesn't, they both have the same opportunity. They both had the same chance. They both had the same time to make those choices to do this or do that. And one went down this path and the other one went down the other path. And so it's just, I think we need to have that end goal. We need to know what the light at the end of our tunnel is, whatever that is. If you never want to build a team, great. But you just need to know what you need to know you need to know what you want. You need to figure out, we go into clients' homes and we help figure out what their concerns are. We figure out what their why is. Why are we even sitting in the home talking with them? Why did they fill this form out? Why does this mortgage protection even make sense to them? Same thing for us. Why are you an agent? Why are you spending time away from your family? What's your end goal? What would be a lifelong dream to have? You want the integrity deal? Well, I mean, the deal isn't going to be the same if you wait more than 2 years or 3 years or however long it is. Pretend it's 18 months. So you gotta get rid of all your distractions. You gotta make changes. That person that wanted to go become an NFL, football star when they were in third grade, they had to start making changes. And they had to do extra trainings or extra, and they just changed things. Same thing for us. I don't want to look back 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now and be like, what if I didn't do this or that or that? Would I have made it? And it doesn't mean that I need to miss out on everything for the next 2 years or 3 years or 18 months or whatever that is. But like you guys said, your kids are still good, and I'm pretty lifestyle that I'll be able to create for my family. And it's not, and we're not just talking about lifestyle for me. If you go out and if you get that integrity deal, like you and Kim did, like your grandkids just got set and they don't even know it yet. Like that's what we're talking about when you get the integrity deal. It's not just what it means for you and your kids today. Like it's literally affecting the lives of your grandkids. And that's the opportunity that we have. But I mean, in closing, between either the leader conference, you guys getting the deal, this next 90-day run, whatever it is that, we haven't touched on yet or you want to emphasize on, what would you want to say in closing, John?
Well, I think that going back to the all important topic of delayed gratification, I do know Kim and I at this stage, looking back, I think we definitely made some mistakes. I think we went overboard. I think I went overboard on it, but I just I just, the thing that I would encourage people is that just make sure that you schedule your time off, schedule your time away, make it make sense. And I think if you do that, you do the best job you can in trying to fulfill all of your duties. Kim, and it's easier for me to say this with Kim not on the line, but I will just tell you guys, one of my biggest assets in building my business since 1993 has been a wife that we always dreamed together. And I'm not saying that she didn't go through her negative time and all of that, but I will tell you what, I had a wife that absolutely bought into the dream that we were building. And yes, it took us way longer than we ever anticipated, but in the God memorandum in the back of the greatest miracle in the world, it talks about how the longer God withholds payment, the better for you. The longer payment is withheld, the better for you. And that's the trust that we went on. And yes, Andrew, so much of our career, we didn't even know about Integrity Marketing Group. We didn't even know about Brian Adams. But thank God that so-called, payment, so much of what we felt like we were due based on all the work, based on all of the gratification that we delayed, all of those things, we're so thankful now that payment was withheld, because if all of it was building up to this moment to be able to become Integrity Marketing Partners, and like you said, have our lives changed, and really, based on the whole thought of this company going public and how much we chose to put in stock, what that could mean to our children's children's children. I mean, it is really like when, last week, sitting down with Barry and Jared and kind of going through some numbers, some average numbers of what that can mean. It just blows my mind. But like I said from stage and in closing last weekend, if we are examples for anything, let us be examples of what God can do in a life that is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but a life that seeks to be obedient, and a life that simply is very broken, but a life that he can work through, and a life that continually seeks him working through. If we're examples of people for that, I hope that drives people to want to grow spiritually.
Man, preach it, John. Amen, brother. I think that it's done. So, not sure how that happened. John Kite has disappeared. Music started playing.
It's almost like when you're doing an acceptance speech and then they start playing the music, like, hey, you need to get off the stage.
I was going to close this out, so it's not like I was going to pontificate on a whole lot. I will just say, if you keep walking down the same path and expecting to get to a different place, you're just going to get frustrated. So sometimes you got to change the path. And you guys know how much I love fishing. And so here was my question to myself. And this is, if my goal is to learn how to get to a point where I can fish 360 days a year.
Yes.
Am I willing to give up 3 weeks this year in order to have 360 days down the road? I guess I could go for 3 weeks every year for the rest of my life and add up to 360, or I can give it up and walk down a different path, and then I can honestly expect a different result, and then maybe not go quite as insane, and maybe bless a whole bunch of people along the way. And that's really to glorify Jesus and protect families and help agents achieve financial independence. John Kite. Hey, man, thank you so much again for taking you and Kim taking y'all's time to be on here. Andrew Pappas, thank you for co-hosting this with me. I always enjoy doing this with you. Tom Franklin, thank you so much for producing this and editing this and starting the music halfway through the plot. I love it when stuff like that happens, so we can all learn and grow how to use this software together, brother. So thank y'all all. I hope y'all all have a blessed week. Whew.